Fascinating.
Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Yes, sir. No, man, we will fight it. Yes, sir. You're invited now. By the way, when I see the bridge on, I'll say, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, that's my baby. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. That's my baby. No, sir, don't be baby. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No.
Patrick Moore, as you've never quite seen him before, and he'll be around in just a little while. At Woodville, Burton-on-Trent in Staffordshire, there's David Bourne. And great pleasure to, once again, welcome back to Swap Shop, Patrick Moore. Patrick.
Well, nice to see you.
Thank you very much for coming on the programme.
Hello, Claire, if you're looking in.
Yes, it's
I'll do my best.
Claire and all of 3T
Good.
of the primary school at Ongo.
Good.
Now, it's a bit of a vague question, but she wants to know, I mean, what's new? Can you tell us what...
Oh, what's new? Well, I think the most exciting bit of news recently, of course, has been the discovery of the mini-planet. This is a weird little thing. I think you probably know that the planets go around the sun at different distances, and it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and then a big gap, and then Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And between the paths of Mars and Jupiter, there are lots of little things called asteroids. Well, now, a most extraordinary world has been discovered going around the sun outside the path of Saturn and inside Uranus. It's not very big, 400 or 500 miles across, possibly. Goes around the sun once in 66 years. It's not a proper planet, but it may be an exceptional asteroid or anything. It's most exciting.
When you say it's not a proper planet, how do you tell the difference?
Well, I wish I knew. The point is, you see, that the smallest of the big planets is Mercury, and that's 3,000 miles across. And then the biggest asteroid is Ceres, which is about 600 miles. And this new one is probably smaller than Ceres, so it's not really a major planet. It could be the brightest of a trans-Saturnian ring of asteroids.
How was it discovered?
On a photographic plate. Charles Cowell, an astronomer over in California, he was hunting for faint comets. And then he discovered this very faint thing that moved from one night to another. And it moved by a rather strange amount. And when the orbit was worked out, well, there it was.
Right.
Now, of course, the moon is still in the news, obviously. It always is.
Yes. Well, what's the latest on the moon?
Well, a bit disappointing in a way, because, as you know, the Apollo astronauts actually left some material on the moon, some transmitting apparatus. And now, at the end of the summer, it was turned off by NASA. So we're not getting any more information back from there, although I suppose it could be turned on again. Might be an idea to hark back on the moon thing a bit, you know. What do you think?
Yes, we've in fact received one or two letters, and an interesting letter from Mrs. Floyd, who's in Haringey in London. Interesting in the sense that she says that, of course, there is almost a new generation now of young people who don't remember those days of the excitement of the Saturn project, or the Apollo project.
It really was quite incredible, wasn't it?
So, could you maybe sort of explain it for the benefit of people who've just sort of heard about it?
Yes, well, the point is, you see, it's all done, obviously, by rocket, because the rocket is the only thing that can travel in outer space without any air around it. And the project really began in the early 1960s. And then we have these layers of typical liftoff, for example. That's the launch of a Saturn rocket. It's a step rocket, and the crew car carries on the top. And most of that rocket is launcher. When you stand it up before it starts, it's higher than St. Paul's Cathedral, and only a 22-foot cone comes back. Now they're approaching the moon. Now we're coming down onto the moon. This is one of the Apollo 11 things. This was really a great moment. July 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin.
One small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
One giant leap for mankind. There was his footstep. And there is the lunar module. You can see the second asteroid just coming down. That must be Buzz Aldrin. No, in fact, this is a later Apollo, because the early Apollo 11 pictures weren't so good as this. They're putting up the American flag there, and when it's up, you'll notice it won't flutter because there's no air on the moon. And there's a liftoff of the lunar module. And in fact, you know, that's really a bit terrifying, because that one ascent engine in the lunar module is their only link with home.
So they could have been stranded up there.
Well, if that engine hadn't worked first time, yes.
Now, there was some drama, wasn't it? Was it on 13?
That was Apollo 13. There was an explosion on the outward journey, and it was only by, well, a combination of luck and courage and skill that they got back again. Let's have a look at a few pictures, shall we, now?
Yes, we've got some slides, actually.
Well, let's have a look, first of all, shall we, at the moon as you see it from space. There it is. And those of you who know your astronomy will recognize the Mare Crisium down to the right-hand side. Of course, you don't see it like that from the Earth. And what about the Apollo module actually in space? That's really, I think, rather incredible, because remember, this one little ship is your only link with home.
When you were working on the project with the BBC, I mean, did you find it very exciting?
I did indeed. There's the module actually going down, and there is the Earth in the lunar sky, and that really does show you the Earth as a planet, doesn't it? Let's go down onto the moon itself. There is the giant rock. Now, that's Apollo 17, and Harrison Schmitt, the first professional geologist to go to the moon, actually went behind that rock. It really is pretty staggering, as you can see. You can see some mountains there in the distance. Interesting, Noel, before people went up, you know, people thought that the mountains were going to be very rough and jagged, and they're not. They're rather featureless in a way. Rather interesting things there. And what about, there's another picture of the lunar module with an astronaut going into it. But you know, that's a famous picture. That is actually Buzz Aldrin, taken by Neil Armstrong, and you can see in his transparent helmet, you can see there the scene reflected. And that's a pretty good example of lunar scenery, and I don't think anyone's bettered Buzz Aldrin's description of it. He said, magnificent desolation. But doesn't it seem a long time ago now, and not only have men gone to the moon, but unmanned rockets have landed on Mars?
Yeah, I mean, how do they get all those pictures? It's all very well sort of seeing things like that. How many cameras do they have on the module?
On the module itself, they had two cameras, and of course they took one down onto the moon with them.
And could these be operated from main control as well?
Yes, they most certainly could. It was all very, very tightly controlled, and of course it had to be. Now, come in and have a look at that lunar module. I think it's rather an interesting thing. There's a little model of it there.
Yeah.
And you can compare that lunar module, and that's the thing that took the Apollo astronauts down onto the moon, and that, I may say, when they go, that's used as a launching base, and only that part goes back into orbit. And then, of course, they rejoin their companion, who's been circling the moon in the rest of the spacecraft, and they come home together. And this is a quite different thing. This is the Viking lander that's come down on Mars. And, of course, two Vikings are now standing on Mars, and they're still able to send back information right from the Martian surface, which is really a pretty staggering thing to do. Although, of course, one thing we've not found out yet, quite definitely, is there any life on Mars? Viking hasn't shown any. It's too early to dismiss Mars as being sterile, I think.
Are you disappointed that the project hasn't gone on? It hasn't sort of moved into another stage?
Well, in a way it has, you know. I think it's fair to say that Apollo did all it could do, and I believe that the Americans were right to call it off when they did. Because if anything goes wrong on the moon, at the moment, you don't get back, and that would be simply ghastly. So I don't believe men are going to go back to the moon, much before 1990, and by then there will be rescue provision. Meanwhile, the space shuttle is being developed, the Vikings are on Mars, one Pioneer probe is on its way to Saturn, and of course the two Voyagers are also on their way, first of all to Jupiter, and then Saturn in 1981, and if all goes well, then one of these craft will go on to the second ringed planet Uranus, about 1985.
One personal question. You were very involved with the BBC coverage back in 1969. I mean, do you regret the fact that you weren't able actually to go up there? Would you like to have been an astronaut?
I would love to have been an astronaut, but I've got every disadvantage. For one thing, I'm the wrong nationality. Secondly, I'm 54, I'm the wrong age. And of course, I'm not a jet pilot. Give me anything with a propeller and I will fly it for you, but I can't fly a jet.
Patrick, thank you very much indeed. We'll have some calls a little bit later on.
I'll do my best.
Thank you for coming on. And right now, we're going to go back to Posh Paws, who's busy at the desk. How does it work? Tell us how it works. It's not like a kite, really, is it?
No.
It's very different.
When you create a cylindrical airstream, the air pressure above is lower than it is below.
Sounds rather technical, but really you've got two discs with a thing in the middle that propels itself round. Does the force of that propulsion lift it up?
This is so incredible. I don't know. I really don't know right now what's happening.
Well, what about... I'm not sure I know either, because this it's left its string, has it? This is the whole point of it.
This is free. It's free flying.
Is this to you an important development in aviation?
This is as incredible as what the Wright brothers did.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, John. And just before I ask Patrick about that, I would like to thank very much indeed Richard Wilson and Chaz Siemens, who are two of our engineers here, and they're in charge of all our electronics and things, while we're sort of showing you bits about the telly. It's worth thanking some of the people behind the scenes. So thank you, gentlemen. Patrick, are you into kite flying or anything like that yourself?
I'm afraid I'm not. I've always liked kites. I've never actually flown any myself. I think I'd probably get it wrong if I tried. I'm sure the kite would come down. Can I go into this now, do you think?
Certainly, yeah.
I've got here a map of the moon. It's one I did myself some time ago. Got a moon landing guide on the back, and there's a picture of the moon's surface. And we thought that we'd give this map to the first person who sends in a postcard with the correct answer to the following question. In what lunar sea did the Apollo 11 astronauts land? So the first postcard with that correct answer on it will get the map.
Cards to the swap shop.
Yes.
Grab the telephone.
This one?
Yes.
Right, who we got on the line?
And we've got line 1. Who's this?
Paul O'Reilly.
Hello, Paul.
Paul?
Yeah, I've got a question for Patrick Moore.
Okay, here I am, Paul. Nice to hear you.
Patrick, do you believe that is there any life on other planets?
Well, do you mean, first of all, planets in our solar system or planets anywhere?
Well, planets anywhere then.
Well, yes, I'm sure the answer is yes then. You see, in our own solar system, there's no advanced life except possibly on the Earth. There may be a certain amount of very primitive life on Mars, but as I said earlier on, the Viking hasn't shown any, so we can't be sure about that, and the rest of the planets in our own solar system are quite hopeless. But don't forget, the Sun is only one of many thousands of millions of stars, and there must be many stars just like the Sun, and although I can't prove it, I'm sure there must be many planets like the Earth, and although, again, I say have no proof at all, I'm quite sure in my own mind that there's plenty of life up there on planets going around other stars. But of course, other civilizations are so far away that getting in touch with them is going to be very difficult indeed. What do you think about it yourself?
Hello?
Hello? I think we've lost Paul.
Is he gone? No, I don't believe it.
Hello.
Oh, you're there again. What do you think about that, Paul?
Okay.
I think it's fair enough. We can't prove it, of course, but if we're ever going to get in touch with people living on planets going around other stars, it's not going to be by ordinary rockets, you know. It's got to be some tremendous breakthrough, and we've no idea about that yet. May happen tomorrow, may never happen. Anyhow,
thank you for the call.
Perhaps we'll see. Thanks for that.
Line 5 to swap shop. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello. Who are you?
Marina.
Hello, Marina. You're
Hello,
through to
Maria.
Patrick Moore.
Where are you talking from?
Hounslow.
Hounslow. Hello, Marina. What do you want to know?
Well, a long time ago I watched a program, and it was about two planets colliding, and I wonder whether this could be possible.
Very, very unlikely. You see, all the planets in our own solar system, and probably in other solar systems also, go around the Sun in perfectly stable paths or orbits, and there's no fear of any collision. Of course, when you're talking about very small planets, asteroids if you like, then I suppose there's always a chance that one of them might hit us. But the chances are so slight you can really forget it. And certainly two big planets just cannot collide.
Right. And I've got my friend here, and she wants to say a quick hello.
Hello? Who's there?
It's Debbie. Hello.
Hello, Debbie, and nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Nice
Have
to
you
hear
got-
you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was
Right.
quick, wasn't it?
That's
No
a quick
question,
one, yeah.
just a quick hello. Line 6 to the swap shop. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello, you're through. Who are you?
Gareth Roberts.
Hello, Gareth.
Hello, Gareth. Where are you from? Wales?
No. Yeah, born where?
Oh, fair enough. Now, what can I do for you?
Have you ever seen any UFOs?
No, I've not seen any UFOs, because don't forget I'm an astronomer, and astronomers just don't see them. They're great fun, you know, but no one can really take them seriously.
Do you believe in them?
No, of course I don't. I say they're great fun and they're quite harmless, but no one takes them seriously.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Gareth, very much. Line 2 to the swap shop.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Patrick?
Hello.
Who's this?
I'd like to ask you, where did you get the idea to write books?
I find that a bit difficult to answer. I've always enjoyed writing, ever since I was young enough to think at all, and I've always liked messing around with pens and typewriters and things, and I suppose I always really rather wanted to write books. Now that I do, I thoroughly enjoy it. But I can't quite tell you what originally gave me the idea, because it was so long ago that honestly I've forgotten. It's always been with me, so to speak.
All right, we didn't get your name.
What's your name?
Who are we talking to?
Alistair Franks.
Alistair.
Anything else you want to know, Alistair?
No, but you've got my name wrong.
Oh, hang
sorry.
on. Now, what's the...
Alastair.
Yes, Alistair, that's fair enough. That's what we said.
We spelt that wrong, did we? Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Alistair.
But don't forget there are about 15 different ways of spelling the name Alistair. One always
Okay,
gets it
you
wrong.
got on the swap shop anyway.
They're
Thanks a lot.
like, they're like Stevens, you know, with their PH or V.
Cheers, Alistair. Bye-bye. Patrick, thank you very much
That's
indeed. Yes, that's it. It's cards and letters
Yeah.
to the swap shop on your question there. Good heavens above, Humphrey has just committed suicide off the back. Stop that, Humphrey, please. Stop it. Sorry, it's just what you can't see over the back. He's doing something very rude indeed.
Okay.
Miss World will be around in a little bit of time. Do you fancy sort of having a look at those sort of heavenly bodies?
Well, not quite my line, you know. I'm always going for change.
What's open for suggestions like it? Miss World will be around in just a little while. That, of course, is Miss Sweden. And right now, let's go to Barrow in Furness. And Cheggers, where are you?
Oh, thank you very much,